At some point as football fans, we can be happy with the results, but we really shouldn't be happy with the performance. Or maybe the full game. We shouldn't be really happy with this particular performance. The Buffalo Bills had a phenomenal first half. They dominated the New York Jets. Easily could have scored 35 points, or worst case scenario, could have scored 27 points, or somewhere maybe close to the early 30s against the New York Jets. We knew the expectation coming into this year. We knew that we were favorites to win the division. Almost every single sports channel that you could potentially think of, including radio and media. We had high expectations this year to be better after coming off a 10-6 year that could have honestly been 11-5 or 12-4. We got the necessary weapons for Josh Allen. The offensive line remains the same unit, which gradually improved from 2018 to 2019. We got some really, really good defensive pieces to make our defense better. We got the coaching, we got the front office. Everything is there for the Buffalo Bills to take a hold of this division and win. And even though we got the W today, and I'm happy about the result, I am not happy about the performance. I've been criticized by a lot of Buffalo Bills fans that I am too hard on the Buffalo Bills. I am sorry that I have a high expectation for the Buffalo Bills because I see the potential of this football team. I see this team honestly competing for a championship in the near future, if not this year. Because everything is in place for them to do it. It's really all about this team being consistent. And one of our biggest issues is inconsistency. We dominate the first half and we take a break in the second half. We make mental errors, which for some reason gives the other team energy, and then they'll come back. You look at the Houston Texans game as a perfect example. This is a team that the Buffalo Bills should have won. They choked against the Houston Texans. They were up 16-0. The defense was dominating. The offense was moving the ball down the field. And the Texans made adjustments, and the Bills couldn't respond. The Bills had no answer. And even in overtime, the Buffalo Bills had plenty of opportunities to snatch away that game, and we just couldn't do it. The Bills can't put teams away. That is the inconsistency of the Buffalo Bills. The play calling was horrible. The play calling was amazing in the first half every game, except for I think around a couple games, except for I think the Eagles and the Ravens game. But the play calling in the first half, Brian Dable looks like he's the best OC in the league. And then the second half comes, he can't make the proper adjustments to have that consistency of the Buffalo Bills offensive unit be good in the second half. The same thing happened this year. So far, again, even though it's game one, you're starting to see the same shit from last year come over to this year. Was very consistent in the first half. We were moving the ball down the field. We were in the red zone, I think, 4 or 5 times. And besides the 2 fumbles, which swung the momentum over to the New York Jets because they did score 3 points out of it, the Buffalo Bills in the second half, you couldn't see that energy. The Jets made their adjustments, and Brian Dable couldn't adapt. The Buffalo Bills had 21 points in the first half and only pulled away with 6 points in the second half. We started to become very, very conservative in the second half with these 3-4 yard passes. We barely ran the ball today. We barely ran the ball with our running backs, only 16 carries with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. And you're talking about as a fan base, and especially as the sports media as a whole, they've been hyping up Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Now, it's not really their fault tonight. The Jets defense has a phenomenal defensive line. But we also have one of the best rushing units in the NFL. And at some point, when you throw the ball 46 times, and our running backs have 16 carries, that's not really a balanced approach. Now, you can say, well, Josh Allen, he carried the ball a lot. He had like 17 carries for like 59 yards. That led us to 2 fumbles. Josh Allen, like I said, running the ball with him, that's fine. But 17 carries is a lot, especially for a quarterback that's had trouble with ball security. And the 2 fumbles showed it, especially in the red zone, where you could have used guys like Zach Moss and Singletary, especially because you drafted Zach Moss, because we've had trouble in the red zone with our running backs. You drafted Zach Moss for that particular purpose, and you barely utilized him in the red zone. And then where were the down the field? Where were the plays down the field? Out of the 45 attempts, where were the plays down the field? Where were those deep passes that we kept seeing during practice, that we kept seeing during practice and training camp? Stephon Diggs, even though he had a great day, he had 8 catches and he was tough, and again Josh Allen did a phenomenal job as far as trying to connect with Diggs. Where was Diggs? Easily could have had 12 to 13 catches today, and I'm not even lying. Watch the game back, watch the film, look at the tape. Diggs easily could have had 13 catches today. We started to have these 3, 4, 5 yard hitch routes, these little curl routes, drags. It's almost the same type of style we had last year, as far as the short passing game, but not being that successful down the field. Now, again, this game wise, we were better down the field than we were all of last year, but getting a number 1 receiver in Stephon Diggs, you kind of expect more attempts with him and John Brown down the field. Again, we had 46 passing attempts, and even though people will hype up Josh Allen for 312 yards, I will say as far as his completion percentage goes, it's a lot better than what it was last year, especially during the start of his first game. So we did see a little bit of improvement in that. And the play calling was great in the first half as far as the passing plays goes. In the second half it wasn't really there. The passing plays for Josh Allen it wasn't good. And then one of the biggest problems that we've always had, that I've had with both Josh Allen and Dable, is that as soon as Josh Allen, you can start to see the drop off. We don't try to go to the run game. We continue to try to pass the ball with Allen so that he can try to break out of it, and it's not working. It's the first game of the regular season with no preseason, no training camp, and maybe I'm just talking crazy. Maybe I just have too high expectations for the Buffalo Bills. But when you're talking about a team that's expected to win this division, that's expected to compete with some of the best teams in the NFL, and that's supposed to make a deep run to playoffs. And again, this is not our expectation as fans. This is the media's expectations. The media expects us to make a deep run through the playoffs. Every sports YouTube channel has the Buffalo Bills winning this thing and going far and going deep in the playoffs. So at some point, when is WGR 550 radio stations like that will sit here and say that the Buffalo Bills had a phenomenal game? When at some point are we going to have those high expectations and say to ourselves, the Buffalo Bills were 3-8 from the red zone. The Buffalo Bills had 2 fumbles, had 2 turnovers in the red zone. The Buffalo Bills could have easily scored 30 or 40 points, but we had a letdown performance in the second half. When as Bills fans, when are we going to criticize this football team and say enough is enough? This is not last year. This is this year. We have a high ceiling this year. We have an expectation to not only win this division, but to dominate this division. And beating a poor football team, which is the New York Jets, 27-17, and letting this football team hang around from in the second half, that's inexcusable and it's unacceptable from our standards. At some point, we have to realize as a Bills fan base that enough is enough. We demand better. We need to demand better for this unit. And if we're going to beat teams like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens, some of the best teams in the NFL, we can't keep letting teams stick around and have this conservative BS that we keep doing in the second half. We can't keep letting that happen. But anyway, guys, more Bills coverage in the future. Again, if you guys have anything to say, whether if it's positive or negative, you guys can let me know below in the comment section, and we can hash it out below. I want to talk about this game with you guys. Jan 716, aka Jan Sports. I'm out.